Have you ever found yourself wondering the questions, who am I and how can I change the world for the better? What work am I called to do in this world? I think that these are not just passing thoughts and questions, but perhaps the most important questions that we can choose to ask ourselves, if only we knew that they were worth asking and worth exploring. I do believe these questions need and deserve time, so I thank you for showing up here for yourself and for these big questions. And I want to propose to you this way of looking at things. That the question of finding out what work to do in the world is really more a question of asking, who am I at my core? Because interestingly, the Latin root of the word vocation is voice. The way to find the work that's calling you in the world is by listening to your inner voice. And also by listening to the voice of your life and what your life has been telling you through your experiences, through the things that move you, through the things that you love. So if you are curious about this, I invite you into this series on purpose. And what we're going to explore together is how to find that place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet, as Frederick Buechner called it. Because that place where they meet is your leadership calling, your purpose. Why think about purpose now? Because too many of us hit these questions much later in life and flounder about for years trying to find this inner anchor again, when really we could have started early. I've met people in their 20s, 30s and even beyond the 40s who struggle to reconnect with themselves because they didn't have the chance when they were younger to dive into self-reflection. The biggest problem young people face today is not actually stress, it's meaninglessness, says psychologist William Damon. And so by showing up here, you are really showing up to anchor yourself in an inner resilience. So I'm going to suggest something strange. That first, to find out what your purpose is, first find out what it isn't. Start listening to your body telling you when it feels like something feels heavy, like you feel a lack of energy. Because when you find your purpose, you'll feel like fish in the water. And so if you're feeling heavy and blocked instead in whatever you're doing, then that isn't your thing. So for the longest time, I was a student of architecture. And I was really quite good at it. I was also very interested in it. But I couldn't somehow deny this nagging feeling that I constantly had, that somehow this is not me, this is not me. And I would tell people this, that I have this sort of feeling that I could do this if I really wanted, and I'd even be interested in it. But it somehow doesn't feel like me. I don't know if interest is enough. And people would shrug it off. Well, I want to tell you, listen to that feeling of heaviness or blockedness or not me-ness. Listen to that. You might be really good at something and still feel this way. When I graduated as an architect, and I would get projects. So there was this one time I got my first design project and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I should be really excited because this is my first design project. And then I heard myself saying, you know, I think my friend Tara would be really good for this. Let me pass this on to her. And this kept happening again and again, and I just wasn't feeling excited about the projects coming my way. I didn't have that quiet confidence that I had a natural intuition for this art of making things. And I was right, I didn't. Because looking back on my childhood, I was not that kid who liked playing with Lego building blocks. I was not that kid who liked making things. I liked playing with dolls. I liked imagining stories. And so it's surprising if you think of it, that I went into a profession which was all about putting big Lego building blocks together in a way. It was all about making things. I should have gone into a more story-based field, like communications, writing, psychology, which is now what I do after 10 years of trying to figure out what was really calling me. Ultimately, I just had to surrender to knowing that I can't be anything but me. So, these are some questions for you to reflect on. What are some activities I do or subjects that I study which make me feel slightly off? What are some activities I do that make me feel heavy in my body or low on energy? And instead, what are some activities I do that make me feel high energy, make me feel like I'm in flow, they make me feel light? So just start tuning into these questions and we'll meet for the next video to talk about the next step to finding out your purpose. Thank you. Good luck.